Often when my team and I are working with groups on internal communication, we ask and suggest for a communication cascade. And it truly is cascading like a waterfall information from top level leader at whatever levels of mid-level leader to that frontline employee. What's helpful with this is that we think that that happens all the time, and it really doesn't. We think if we talk about something at the senior leadership level or the kind of larger group of leaders, that leaders will deduce what they need to take back to their teams, and it doesn't happen, and people get really frustrated. And so what we want you to do is not necessarily to micromanage every word that's coming out of your leaders' mouths as they're working with their employees in the front line, but to be able to give them, in a cascading approach, 3 to 5 key takeaways from this key piece that the leadership team was talking about, what we think is important for you to share with your team, some questions we would recommend that you share with your team, and then even deeper if it's even narrowed based on, hey, here's some specifics for our department or specific group of people. The best thing about this is it gives an opportunity, if you include questions, for those questions to bubble right back up. And so it's sort of like an upstream waterfall approach with that cascade, but it gets some insight around some specific questions. But you don't need to do this for every communication. So usually we're looking at when things are complicated and at the leadership level, we're trying to explain those, usually about a vision, major project that's coming, some changes that are going to impact employees, right? Anything that's at that macro level, first time out, maybe a big shift in it, something like that. Maybe if we haven't talked about it in a while, we could do a communication cascade to say, hey, here, this is continuing to go. These are the things that we want you to know about it. And here's some questions that we want to talk with you about and for you to connect with in your team. One of the things I think that's really helpful too is that when you think through, oh, this is something that I want to tell them and inform them, but I want them to get it like based on their own team environment or their own team's goals. A cascade's great for that because you at the top or whoever you are that are thinking through just how do we do this, wherever your focus is, it's likely not going to cascade all the way across. So if you're at the top, it's difficult to be able to give scenarios for every frontline employee. If you're in middle management and you're listening and thinking about this, how do you communicate that up, out, and down, right? Lots of different competing factors there. And so one of the things I think that's important is to consider, okay, so who do I want this to go to? What things do I want them to be thinking about and talking about? And then just create some questions, even that have like, how does this impact your department? When your department looks at this, what obstacles do you anticipate? When you're thinking about this, how does this impact your day-to-day work? Does it or does it not? So that can be discussion that happens at a quick team huddle. It makes it easy for people to understand and apply the information.